Does nature have memory? When a crystal forms for the first time, it takes a while for nature to find the pattern. But once a crystal has formed somewhere, anywhere in the world, it becomes easier to form everywhere. Resistance decreases, the pattern spreads. This observation, reported by chemists, has no explanation in conventional physics. Crystals should not know what crystals elsewhere have done, yet the phenomenon persists. Biologist Rupert Sheldrake proposed a radical hypothesis to explain this and many other puzzles: morphic resonance. He suggests that nature has a kind of memory. Patterns once established anywhere resonate across space and time, making similar patterns easier to achieve elsewhere. This is not mysticism, but a proposed extension of natural law. It is also one of the most controversial ideas in modern science. Welcome back to The Conscious Observer. Today we explore whether nature remembers. Morphic resonance proposes that self-organizing systems, from molecules to organisms to societies, inherit a kind of collective memory from previous similar systems. This memory is encoded not in material structures but in morphic fields of form that shape how systems develop. When a rat learns a new maze in London, rats everywhere should find the same maze slightly easier, even without any physical connection. When a new behavior emerges in a species, it should spread faster than genetics alone can explain. The laws of nature, in this view, are not eternal and fixed, but are more like habits, patterns that have become ingrained through repetition. Nature does not follow laws, it falls into habits. The more a pattern has been repeated, the more likely it is to occur again. Sheldrake points to several lines of evidence. Crystals of new compounds often become easier to crystallize over time, even in isolated laboratories. This is usually explained by contamination, seeds of the crystal spreading through the environment. But Sheldrake argues the effect sometimes appears without any plausible transmission route. In animal behavior, the famous case of the blue tits in Britain is often cited. In the 1920s, blue tits learned to open milk bottle caps to drink cream. The behavior spread rapidly across the country, faster than learning or imitation could account for. When milk delivery stopped during the war and resumed years later, a new generation of blue tits quickly rediscovered the trick. Did they inherit the memory through morphic resonance? Critics say simpler explanations suffice, but the pattern is suggested. Sheldrake calls his theory the hypothesis of formative causation. He distinguishes it from mechanistic causation, where causes precede effects in local physical ways. Formative causation operates across space and time, shaping the form of systems without transmitting energy or information in the conventional sense. A growing embryo, for example, does not assemble itself like a machine. It develops toward a form, guided by the morphic field of its species, shaped by all previous members of that species. Regeneration, the ability of some organisms to regrow lost limbs, is particularly puzzling for mechanistic biology. How does the tissue know what to become? Sheldrake suggests it resonates with the morphic field, which carries the memory of the complete form. Mainstream science has largely rejected morphic resonance. Critics argue that it is unfalsifiable, that it invokes non-physical causes without mechanism, that the evidence can be explained by conventional means. The journal Nature once called Sheldrake's first book the best candidate for burning since the book's publication. This extreme reaction suggests the hypothesis touches deep nerves. It challenges the assumption that nature is purely mechanical, that the past does not directly influence the present except through physical traces. Sheldrake has proposed experiments to test morphic resonance, such as seeing whether people can learn things more easily that others have already learned. Some studies claim positive results, others find nothing. The hypothesis remains on the margins of science, neither proven nor completely dismissed. Could physics accommodate morphic resonance? Some see connections to quantum non-locality where entangled particles correlate without physical signals. Perhaps morphic fields are a macroscopic analog of quantum entanglement. Others note that in general relativity, the geometry of spacetime is influenced by all the matter in the universe. Perhaps similar structures correlate across space through geometric resonance we do not yet understand. The holographic principle suggests that information about distant regions can be encoded locally. Perhaps morphic resonance is a way this information manifests. These connections are speculative, but they show that our current physics is not necessarily the final word. New phenomena might require new frameworks. Sheldrake's decoded ideas from process philosophy. Whitehead suggested that the laws of nature are habits that have become ingrained over cosmic time. At the beginning of the universe, nothing was settled. As patterns repeated, they became more stable, more probable, more law-like. The laws we observe are not eternal decrees but accumulated habits. Sheldrake extends this to biological and behavioral patterns. A species form is a habit, developed over millions of years and now deeply ingrained. A culture's practices are habits, easier to maintain than to change because they resonate with all previous instantiations. Memory is not just in brains, it is in the fabric of nature, shaping what can and does occur. If morphic resonance is real, consciousness might play a larger role in nature than science admits. The collective memory of a species could be a kind of group mind, distributed across individuals and time. Archetypes, the universal patterns Jung identified in the human psyche, might be morphic fields, resonating from all previous humans who embodied those patterns. Dreams, intuitions, and creative insights might tap into these collective memories. This connects to ideas we have explored throughout the series: the participatory universe, the primacy of consciousness, the interconnection of all things. Morphic resonance would mean that mind and memory are not confined to individual brains, but are features of nature as a whole. We must be cautious. Morphic resonance is not established science. The evidence is contested, the mechanisms unknown, the theory incomplete. It is easy to see patterns where none exist, to mistake coincidence for resonance. The history of science is full of discarded ideas that seemed compelling in their time. Sheldrake may be wrong, but the history of science also includes ideas once dismissed that later proved true. Continents do drift. Bacteria do cause disease. Atoms do exist. Openness to unconventional hypotheses is necessary for science to progress. We should neither accept morphic resonance uncritically nor dismiss it contemptuously. We should investigate, test, and remain curious. Does nature have memory? We do not know. Sheldrake's morphic resonance is a provocative hypothesis that challenges the mechanical worldview of mainstream science. It suggests that patterns resonate across space and time, that the past shapes the present in ways physics does not yet describe, that nature is more like a living organism with habits than a machine with laws. Whether this is true awaits further evidence, but the questions it raises are profound. Is the universe more interconnected than we assume? Is memory a broader phenomenon than neural activity? Are the laws of nature eternal truths or accumulated habits? You exist within a cosmos that may remember, that may be shaped by patterns stretching back to the beginning. In our next episode, we explore how the body shapes the mind, the science of embodied cognition. Until then, remember, you inherit more from the past than genes and culture. Perhaps you inherit the habits of the cosmos itself. Keep observant.